Hello, and welcome everybody to another episode of Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and Prez, and this episode 416. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Prez, that is @_Presidente on Twitter/X. Prez, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there, doing all right. Ready for the most important game of the 2025 season, which is the first summer league game.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically your Super Bowl here. So
basically. I mean, if you would have told me like a month ago 4 picks would be playing in summer league or whatever, I would have been like, "You're full of shit. Stop tampering with my feelings, Shwin."
Well, we got there. One way or the other. All right. Well, before we talk about summer league and a whole bunch of other things, do have to make a few announcements. First being that Strickland has an Instagram. Check that out. That is at the Strickland on Instagram. We post all kinds of new content on there. Strickland also has a YouTube channel where you may be watching this podcast. If you are and have not done so already, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. That'd be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merchandise, which you can find on our website at www.thestrick.land. There's a link that takes you to the merchandise store. And there's all kinds of cool stuff you can find on there, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it, we've got it. Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier. That gets you access to Strickland's podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to Takes from Obvious Bozos, our newest podcast that is hosted by Andrew Steele, a.k.a. Doug, along with Zach Blatter. And you get access to the Strickland Discord where the conversation never stops. There for the tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, my solo pod, where I rant and rave with things even more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matthew Merida, one of the best in the business, who has been churning out excellent content so far in the offseason. You also get access to Strictly NFL, which is hosted by Constantine Metricos. That is our newest podcast, which, you guessed it, is about the NFL. There are also $15 tiers, $30 tiers, $50 tiers, and $100 tiers. It comes with a variety of additional benefits, like listening on product warnings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe or not. This would be possible without you. And none of this would be possible without BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game is over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit of $250. BetOnline. The game starts here. Okay, so Summer League is upon us. There's really nothing else to discuss right now when it comes to the Knicks, because the Knicks have not done anything. Like, they obviously did the Bridges trade, but since finalizing that, all they have done is sign Ariel Hukporti to a 2-way contract. They also signed Pacome Dadier and Tyler Kolek to rookie deals. McCullough, we still don't actually have any idea what his status is. He might be on a 2-way, or maybe he hasn't signed a contract. We don't know.
He can't play in summer league without a contract, right? So we just don't know.
I mean, he could.
He could. Yeah, that's true. He could. It'd just be weird.
There's a bunch of guys in Summer League. I mean, Summer League is basically a tryout.
That's true.
So
hope he doesn't get hurt again.
Yeah, I mean, my assumption would be that the NBA insures these guys somehow. I don't think they would just like. I don't think guys would just be like, oh, well, I'll just play in Summer League uninsured.
I'll just give it a whirl.
Yeah,
against these other 7-foot humans trying to fight for their profession and smacking into you.
yeah, I can't see that. But yeah, so we don't know what his status is right now, which is weird in its own right. We found out that Kyle Lowry signed with the Sixers today, officially, and Johnny Bryant has left us. So there are rumors swirling of interest in Walker Kessler, in Nick Richards, in maybe Karl Anthony Towns. Look, I did a whole pod with Stacey about this, so we don't need to get too deep into it. I certainly don't need to give my thoughts, but what do you think with all the kind of smoke and whatever you want to say, but there's a lot of variables still up in the air.
All I can say is, like, I'm sure they're turning over lots of stones right now and having lots of conversations, which sounds like a no shit Sherlock kind of observation, but like if we know anything from this offseason, starting from the draft through the poking around for Paul George and then the bombshell McCall deal, like whatever they're doing, we don't know. The people who are reporting don't know. There's not many people plugged into this Knicks front office unless they want them to be plugged in. Um, if you count on starting with the draft, like we heard for a while that they liked Kolek. We got one hint that they liked McCullough. Even then, we later learned that McCullough actually wasn't their target. It was Enrique Freeman, and McCullough was a backup. He wasn't even their first choice for that pick. So, and then like the McCall thing just caught everybody by surprise. So we don't know what they're doing. They're probably having conversations for a lot of these guys. I'm sure some of these rumors are from real smoke, and some is from just rumors that are not really based on anything or wrong information or whatever. But at this point, my kind of approach as a fan is like kind of just trust them to cook. It's frustrating from an instant gratification perspective, right? We're used to off seasons going a little faster than this in theory. Although, you look at other teams like at this point last year, Boston didn't have Drew, right? Like they took a little bit of time to resolve everything for their own
They didn't
championship
have Drew
run.
for a while. They got Drew later on in the offseason after the Lillard trade, and they had already made,
Mhm.
but they had already made their big move in Porzingis.
Yeah,
But I guess to kind of illustrate your point is they had
that
made
could
their
be
big
like our
move.
McCall,
Yeah, they had made their big move, but then they made another big move.
Yeah,
Who's
so like
we'll see.
it's we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think they're open to lots of analytically supported ideas, right? Which could there's lots of arguments in support of Towns, right? Like the guy has great stats, full stop. He does some things we know the Knicks are interested in, full stop. He also does some things that are a little weird for a Knicks player. So like it's it's hard to project at this point. They're in a new place, right? McCall is the same way. Like he does a lot of things that we know they've been lacking. And in a lot of ways, he's different from many other Knicks, right? Like, for example, as a passer, like it's not really his jam. Although I guess OG is a little like that. So anyway, my point is like, not much. A lot of things both would surprise me and like wouldn't surprise me at the same time, which is kind of like a boring cop out answer. Personally, like if they got Towns, it kind of all depends on how they use him and utilize him. And I won't get too into it because I know y'all did a whole pod, but like he's a funky player. He's incredibly talented, but I don't think it's easy to use him to optimize others just because of his ability to stretch the floor at 7 feet tall at both the 4 and 5. But I actually don't think it's simple to. I don't think the answer to the question, what is the best way to use Carl Anthony Towns to maximize his own contributions directly, like his scoring? I don't think that's a simple question at all. Everybody knows you could get him to shoot more threes, and that's low hanging fruit. But beyond that, like he's great at a lot of stuff, and there's just a lot of like things that where driving, for example, he's like an incredible finisher because he's tall and agile and skilled and has touch, but he also takes terrible shots and doesn't pass. So like he's a fascinating player and a frustrating player. He's similar to Randall in that he's gifted and unique and frustrating. But you know, we'll see what happens. If you gun to my head right now, I don't think they're gonna do that. Um, but that all depends on how negotiations go with Brunson and Randall. So buckle up. Hopefully we'll see soon. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna enjoy the young bucks hooping in summer league.
Yeah. I would say that it's very funny that we're talking about a Julius for Cat trade because they're probably the two most fucking
enigmatic.
Yeah, just enigmatic players in the NBA. You never know. Once you establish, well, this is how I feel about this guy, then they do something, and you're like, actually, now I feel entirely different. So I think it's definitely. I mean, it's funny they're being potentially, maybe, or at least being discussed potentially in trade for each other, but it's not that surprising because I bet NBA teams are just as fucking like, what is
Flexed.
happening? Yeah, perplexed by what the hell these guys are at any given point in time. But yeah, I mean that's basically it. I don't know. There's not a whole lot much more to say about those guys and what will happen there. We'll have to bide our time and see. Fortunately, there is some more basketball to be played before we officially go away for the summer. Not us, but the NBA. We have the summer league, so that'll be fun, obviously, and that will be Prez's time to shine. This is again his Super Bowl. This is the most important time of the year for him.
That and Team Puerto Rico in the Olympics. Let's go.
Well, I was gonna ask, like, do you feel a little like animosity towards the potential of getting Karl Anthony Towns on the team?
Because he plays for the DR.
Yeah, like I'm just asking the questions that I think people want the answers to here.
Well, I'm numb to Puerto Rican players on the Knicks after Carmelo, who could have played for Puerto Rico, neglected us to play for Team USA.
Coward.
So, coward. Some would say, including me. Chose the easy road, ran from the grind.
He's no Jose Alvarado.
Yeah, Jose Alvarado. Shout out. This is the one time I'll shout out Jose Alvarado. He's really fucking annoying as an NBA player, but he's one of those guys, man, who he puts on a FIBA jersey and this motherfucker gets some superpowers, just like Frank and Fournier and
the spirit of Carlos Arroyo.
Bogdanovich. Not the spirit of Carlos Arroyo, fucking fucking Carlos Arroyo, who's out there on the sidelines. And
is he a coach, or is he just like, what was he just?
He's
like
the GM. He's the GM of the team.
That's awesome.
Which is, I don't know what that job entails, but they got.
It means you pick the team.
They got 3 NBA players and a bunch of not good enough to play in the NBA, but like not awful players. So they're definitely not in the tier of like the big boy squads that got like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 NBA players, MVPs and shit like that. But like after that, like they're like a team that could just get hot, right? Like Marcus Howard, Tremont Waters, like these guys may be short, but they get hot. And that's what happened against Rokas in Lithuania. Is like one team couldn't hit threes, the other team couldn't miss threes. That was it. RIP. Game over. And Sabonis doing his usual playoff Sabonis turnover laden choke performance.
Correct. Sabonis playing. That's really funny.
Well, they're not in the Olympics, so he's not playing no more.
Probably good for him. Carlos Arroyo is from Fajardo, Puerto Rico. Yes. Have you been to Fajardo?
I have not.
Is that like a big town or no?
It's a decent size, like small city.
Do you have beef with Fajardo?
No, dude, I've been to the island like I've been to the island more in the last like 5 years than I have in like the preceding 10 years before that. But the sum total is not many trips to the island at all. So no, I haven't been there. But it'd be cool. I would visit.
Do you have like a hometown, like where your family is from in Puerto Rico?
My mom's side is from San Juan and my dad's side is from Ponce. And I haven't been to Ponce. That's like a little further away, but obviously San Juan is like the biggest city. So usually I go there and going to some neighboring cities. So I wouldn't call it a hometown, more just where most of the people who visit the island who are not from there go. So
do people from San Juan look down at the rest of the island?
I don't think so, but they look down on people like me whose Spanish is fucking garbage. That's for sure.
Yeah, especially when they see your name, they're like, "No, you're supposed to speak Spanish."
I'm like, "Oh, my name is Julian," and then they're just like, "You're not responding. You're responding in English for this whole time," and I'm like, "Yes, I am."
That is correct. That is what
I'm just gonna start introducing myself on the island as Prez to just like just get ahead of this.
Just say your name's like Frank. Just pick like a very generic white person name.
Nope, Frank. There's a lot of too many Puerto Ricans. Puerto
Really?
Ricans got weird names, bro. Frank, Franco, Francois.
Francois. Really?
Dude, Puerto Rican and Dominican names are wild. Carl is like the most tame. Carl and Carlos, like there's Puerto Ricans and Dominicans who are like they have like inexplicably like Russian and Italian sounding names. Like think MLB players who are like Vladimir.
Yeah,
They're all
that's true.
fucking
Yeah.
Dominican and Puerto Rican. Like it's anytime you see like a Latino baseball player, like just assume and it has a funky name, just assume they're fucking Dominican or Puerto Rican. Like that's you're probably gonna win that bet 9 times out of 10.
That's good.
The
Good
more
to
you
know.
know, the more you know.
I'll keep that in mind next time I watch baseball, which I haven't done in like the Titanic meme.
When the
It's
playoffs come around.
It's been 84 years. It's been 84
Yeah,
years.
exactly.
And look, it's probably good for me because the Yankees seem to
They're
annoy
in the
all
annoying phase of the season right now.
Yeah,
Let's not
it's
talk
fine.
about that.
We will not. All right, look, we're not here to talk about Prez's inability to speak Spanish. We are not here to talk about the Yankees, that's for sure. And but we are here to talk about basketball. Thankfully, because the Knicks haven't done anything, we don't need to talk about the Knicks. Really, there's really nothing to talk about. So let's talk about what you wanted to talk about, Prez. I'm going to let you introduce this, and I'm going to let you dive into it because I want to take a bite of my food, and that's what's going to happen.
All right, so this is what we're going to do for this episode. We're far enough in the offseason that teams are making moves. A couple of them have not overhauled their teams and changed directions entirely, but made significant roster changes, additions, subtractions, noteworthy things that should affect their projection. A couple of them still have outstanding questions, right, including our Knicks of different sizes. And what I wanted to do was have me and Shwin, each of us, just take a turn just choosing a player or a team we're buying as, pointed in the right direction, selling in the wrong direction, and confused by. So I'll do 3, then Shwin will do 3, and maybe we'll go back and forth a couple of times. So I can kick us off, and then, Shwin can tell me why my takes are wrong or correct or confusing.
Wrong.
Or just,
it'll always be wrong.
Always be wrong until I, say, oh, I'm selling Kevin Durant, and then you're forced to acknowledge I'm correct because that is
always
the
be selling.
of 2 evils.
Always be selling that loser.
Exactly.
They just re-signed Josh Kogi for 2 years, $16 million. By the way,
I saw second
adding
year,
a lot of shooting to the team.
Yeah, $50 million contract. With where they are tax wise. So,
is that really?
Yeah, I just saw that on Twitter. It's fucking wild. Their total bill is like half a bill right now. A shade under $500 million.
I'm very proud of myself for shorting that team last summer. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, this team sucks.
That was a big W for you. I should have leaned into that as well.
It's you were Bradley Beal pilled because you.
I was bad. I was just too.
He's very much. He's like a Prez hooper. I get it. It's fine.
He's not even a Prez hooper no more, but he definitely was for a hot second. And he was just here in DC and whatever. So that's.
Plus, you like his shit he says to his young team. You're like, oh,
yeah,
see?
yeah. He's kind of dumb, but he's like a nice, inspiring guy and a community leader.
But some things he says are just like, you guys think you're gonna make the NBA? Let me tell you something. You're not. I'm like, oh, okay.
Look, the inspiration comes in many forms. All right. There's just different people. You got to get through the kids in different ways. All right, man. Sometimes you got to switch it up on them.
He's so funny. He'd be like, you know that I average 30 points in the league, 30 points per game.
You're like, can you guard me? No.
Yeah, you can't guard me. Get the fuck out of here. I'm like, I'm on your team. You're right. Stay. But I want you to know that you'll
suck. Never guard me, motherfucker. Like, sir, I'm 14. I just had Lunchables. Like,
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Yeah, exactly.